What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Scent Bubble, and today we are going to talk about a fragrance that, quite honestly, I really slept on this. I judged it solely based off presentation, and even though a lot of people on YouTube said this fragrance was quite a gem, it clones a very old school fragrance that I actually used to wear in high school, and so it kind of just fell down the totem pole on my list of frags that I wanted to pick up. But I eventually pulled the trigger, and I am so glad I did because it rekindled old memories and it's a fresh take. And I'm just excited to share this fragrance with you. So stay tight, keep it locked, and I'll be right back. Welcome to the Scent Bubble. And today we're going to be talking about a fragrance that, quite honestly, this fragrance has been around for forever. I remember first seeing this fragrance in high school. And if you can see how old I look on camera, especially since it's late at night, you can tell this fragrance has been around for quite a while, since I'm an old man myself. And yeah, man, we have a killer clone here. This is one where, a lot of times I like fragrances to smell inspired. I like them to be pretty close to the original and then kind of have some deviation, some nuance, some character, some twist, some flair, so that we can get a variety of fragrances. I rarely come across the DNA where I am demanding in my mind that the clone match it 100%. As long as the ingredients are quality, price is good, etc., all that good stuff, I don't mind deviation at all, as long as it's desirable. If I can smell it and say, yo, I like that. I'm not somebody who says, yo, this Dior Homme Intense, it has to smell one of one or I'm not buying it. I think that's a really stupid way of purchasing fragrance. If you have a DNA that you're just insanely in love with, oh, I love oud satin mood, so I'm not going to get a clone unless it's just 100%. Okay, rock out. But generally speaking, if you're in the clone game at all, you should just be happy to get a quality fragrance that's close to any DNA you're in love with, and be excited about the deviation, because then you're going to smell like something the general public has not smelled before. It might be, reminiscent of good fragrances that people are familiar with, but you got that little unique edge, so be happy with it. This fragrance is from the house of Lattafa, and this is Suqraat. Try to make it nice and presentable to you guys. I don't know what this word is right here, and I never hear people attempt to pronounce it, so I'm not going to either. Let's just say Lattafa Suqraat. We'll leave it at that. This is cloning Acqua di Giò's Profumo, but to be quite honest, I've smelled Profondo, Profumo, and the OG. They all smell so similar to me. There's nuances in the lightness or the heaviness of it. I think one has incense, one doesn't. The OG has a million different notes in it, which I don't necessarily smell when I take a whiff of it. But nonetheless, we all know the Acqua di Giò DNA. It's present in all of the fragrances from the line, the 3 or 4 that I'm familiar with. And as soon as you smell that fragrance, you know exactly what you're smelling. You don't really need to know the nuance of Profondo, Profumo, regular, whatever. You just know Acqua di Giò Armani. You know it when you smell it. Marine aquatic, fresh, ozonic, goodness. Very fresh, very sophisticated and classy take on an aquatic. And man, this did not miss the mark, man. I'm telling you. This is a type of fragrance where I don't care if it matched the original or not. It smells phenomenal. First, well, normally I put a little mini script to let me know, kind of make sure I'm touching all the areas that you guys like. But I'm trying to freestyle more, man, because to be quite honest, a lot of you guys that are into fragrance, if you're following this channel, you probably follow Bowtie Fragrance Guy, Aromatics, Equality Scents, Sebastian, all the main guys, Gent Scents, Chaos. and they're going to give you all of the pretty little bow tie presentation of everything you're going to want to know about a fragrance. I'm just trying to get your mind into whether or not you should buy the fragrance, the positives and negatives about the fragrance. You know, I'm going to touch on some of the stuff, but to be quite honest, I don't really care about giving you guys everything in order. I just want you guys, if you rock with my channel, it's because you rock with me and how I present fragrance. And so I'll kind of give myself a little bit of liberty to just freestyle to an extent and kind of point out to the most important things that I think you should consider. Again, first whiff, you get that Acqua di Giò vibe, you know, that marine aquatic, that just blend of like citrus, somewhat floral, watery, aquatic, ozonic, aromatic, just goodness. It's almost like classy water. If there could be. And I don't want to leave it at that because it almost, if you've never smelled Acqua di Giò before, it might lead you to think that it's flavorless or scentless, but it goes beyond just like this kind of pristine, classy water. It's that marine, ozonic, citric blend that, it's very hard to describe Acqua di Giò Armani to people who haven't smelled it before because it's a type of blend where you don't smell its DNA in any other fragrance. So I would highly recommend that if you've never smelled it before, go into a Sephora, go into any fragrance store, and get your nose on any Acqua di Giò. To me, they all have like 70% of its core DNA in them with just a subtle nuance on the dry down. But it's just a phenomenal fragrance. And I feel like people in the fragrance community are kind of over it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of you guys have probably had this fragrance since its inception, you know, the OG Acqua di Giò. And so even though it's such a unique, respectable fragrance, it's kind of played out. Like no one would smell you if you had this on and think you smell bad or think you smell uninteresting. But again, if you're somebody who collects fragrances, it's easy to tire out from this if you have any experience with it as a youth, because you kind of just want to smell something different, I guess. And there's so many frags now available on the market, like it's easy to get bored from certain things. And I think that this is one of those situations. Even though ironically enough, I feel like when it comes to the freshy aqua blue category, this isn't a blue fragrance to me personally, but it's aquatic without question. Without question, the watery notes in this are insane. But in that kind of freshy, aquatic, ozonic category, this is a one-of-one fragrance that no one can duplicate. No one can replicate what's going on in this DNA. So for that reason alone, in those categories, I think it has to sit in top 5 as one of the most versatile fragrances of all time in that category. This you can wear any season, any reason to me. I don't think the weather matters. Hot, cold, you smell good when you rock this, and you smell manly, but it's got a youthful quality about it where it brings class in a very universal way to all ages. Like it bounces off skin and paints a portrait in a different way on a young guy versus an old guy, but nonetheless, you smell fresh. You smell, I don't want to say youthful, you smell fresh. And I find that when you smell fresh and citrus and aquatic, it adds youth to a fragrance. Not necessarily like if you're 25, it makes you smell 20, but it's so pleasing to be around when you have a beautiful light fragrance. It's so inviting. It boosts mood and morale. So in that sense, it just can make anybody older, you know, if you're 40, you smell hip. You smell 5, 10 years younger than yourself. If you're a young guy wearing this, then you kind of smell older because you're unique. You have standout. I don't know what I'm trying to say, guys. It's a freshy aquatic with so much timeless class and uniqueness. It's a smell people want to be around at any age, I feel. It's light, but it's pungent. Like, as soon as people smell this DNA, they go, whoa, wait a second. Nothing in my life currently smells like this. Now, I will say this. I was at like a kind of family get-together today, and I rocked this just to see kind of the Sillage scent trail longevity. And my sister-in-law said, as soon as she gave me a hug, she said, oh, I know that smell. She, you know, we've both been around long enough to where we've smelled somebody with Gio or Armani on. And that was cool to me because it's like, it wasn't like a conversation starter, but obviously it wasn't a displeasing scent to her. You know, it was like, oh, wow, I remember that. Cool. Yeah, you smell good. You know, it's like, so it was a mini conversation starter. And you know, from a familiarity aspect, when you have a timeless fragrance, that's a good thing, you know? But yeah, I think this should definitely be a staple in anyone's freshy / aquatic lane in their fragrances. I also think if you don't have a lot of fragrances, this fragrance makes a lot of sense because it is seasonless and it is, you know, Gio Armani might be one of the most versatile scents, period, in any category. It's just a timeless fragrance. Any season, any reason. It could be it could be dressed up. It could be casualed out. You wear it in any water occasions. Yeah, it's just a timeless DNA. I'm trying to sit here and find different ways to give you reasons to buy this, but the bottom line is buy it. I think because of what it's cloning, it will always be a super cheapie. I got my Suqraat for like $15 to $20, and I've never seen it deviate from that price. Like, I'm almost tempted to buy like 5 of these and just gift them out because no one would be displeased with this fragrance. This is awesome. 100 ml. Again, I judged it off presentation, and I didn't think it would be that spectacular, but I think it's very close to Profumo. Real quick, because I know I've been yakking your guys' head off as usual. You know, my podcasts aren't designed to like, oh, get your quick checklist information about a fragrance. You know, my show is about you guys kind of hearing my personality through fragrance and me educating as much as humanly possible about fragrances, generally speaking, that I love. Now, this is a note breakdown of Profumo, and as you can see, C notes citrus up top. I feel like that maintains throughout. Rosemary, sage, geranium. I think that geranium really is what makes Profumo pop in a unique way. And then on the base, that incense note gives it a different tinge as well. And then your usual suspect with patchouli. If we go to Suqraat, we've got the bergamot and ginger up top. Don't worry, guys. C notes and aquatic is very much in Suqraat, even though it's not listed here. So completely ignore that. Just say citrus up top with aquatic. Lavender, violet leaf. I think there's some freshness here from the violet leaf, a little bit of sweetness, sweet like 2 to 5%, nothing crazy. Lavender, yeah, I honestly get lavender as well. If you smell really close, you definitely get a tinge of some lavender in here. And then that musk sandalwood amber base, I think, just warms up and sweetens the fragrance on the backbone. The musk is definitely there, but it's so light. You know what I'm saying? Less than 10%. And I just can't keep whiffing this fragrance enough. It's so awesome. Again, the reason I wanted to show the note breakdown is because rosemary, sage, geranium, and incense aren't in Suqraat. So I think in that way, Profumo might smell a little bit richer. Like, I don't know if it's 1-to-1. It's got to be around 90% though. And even though it doesn't say it has aquatic or C note here or ozonic, it certainly is in this fragrance. So don't follow this entirely. But people say this is a really close fragrance. I wish I had Profumo. I actually, you know what? I have Profumo. Hold on. I still have a little sample of this. I forgot. Well, it's your lucky day, guys. I'm not going to put it on skin, but let me rip this test strip and throw a little Profumo on. I forgot I had this. Hopefully we can still stay within time here. You guys can't see it on camera, but I'm applying it on test strip and on skin real quick to just kind of, I want to see how close they are. So, oh shoot. So let's go ahead and switch out to main screen here. Okay, so Profumo to me, off of initial blast, feels a little bit cleaner. Not that the other fragrance is dirtier. That's not the contrast here. Cleaner in a sense that the blend feels smoother and a little less bent on citrus. Yeah. So Profumo is a little more seductive. I think that incense note really stands out in Profumo. You don't smell incense. It's kind of smells like, almost like, no, you do smell incense if you really close your eyes. It's like this kind of dark grab in the backbone of the fragrance. And then just the blend of the aquatic, ozonic, ocean notes. The citrus is forward. It tucks with the lavender. Yeah, it's smoother and cleaner. That marine aquatic is just more of like a really sophisticated blend. It's got a little bit more like richness to it. It's softer. It's not as projective that it is Suqraat, but they're very close. Now that I'm smelling Profumo like in real time, just keeping it 1,000 with you guys, I never want to lie, or I don't have to sell a fragrance, so there's no reason for me to be capping about a fragrance. Now that I'm smelling Profumo up close, Suqraat is probably in the 85% category closeness to Profumo. I might even, if I'm being like overly, technical about it, I might even call it 80 out of 100. You know what I'm saying? 8 out of 10 close to Profumo. Profumo, I forget how masterful the blend is. For some reason, it translates in a way where I only get like a one or two different angles to the fragrance. Everything is just blended so perfectly. It comes off very linear, but with depth. Whereas Suqraat, I feel, it's slightly more citrus forward. Like, you don't just explicitly smell citrus. You definitely get the Gio Armani DNA. Well, my camera does like a little flash thing, so it might have skipped, but we should be back online. This definitely gets the Acqua di Giò DNA 10 out of 10 for me. Like, as far as, do you smell like Acqua di Giò? No one would tell you no. But we're not necessarily splitting hairs either. Now that I smell them up close, this has a 80% closeness to Profumo to me. And in the 20%, the difference is the bergamot ginger in the Suqraat comes a little bit more forward. And it's a little less smoother of a blend. Like when I put this on my arm and take a sniff, I can clearly smell bergamot, ginger, lavender. I can smell the mid, and then I can smell it warmed up and sweet with the sandalwood. Profumo's nuance lies in that incense note. Like, it clearly has a backbone of incense, and And I think maybe even the geranium has a little bit of a different pop to it. It's almost like crisp light cherry, almost. Even it's not cherry, but the way that it pops the Giò DNA is like so smooth and rich smelling, and then that incense backbone has like mystere to it. Like it's man, it's very alluring. It's different. Yeah, it emphasizes more of the C note with like a 5-10% bergamot, and then that geranium and incense in the background are just popping it in a completely different way. Nonetheless, though, again, you can't be a stickler, I feel, in clones unless you just have to have the DNA. But I still think this is a must purchase. And, I'm giving a little more time to this video because I really think this is one of the best fragrances ever made. Acqua di Giò Armani. And so since this clones it, this will definitely sit in your collection as like a no-brainer go-to grab pretty much year round. Yeah, the 20% difference where this takes a little bit of a turn is it leans a little bit more on the citrus ginger, and you can make out the notes when you're smelling this. You're like, not necessarily, oh, top, mid, bottom, but, oh, I smell ginger. Oh, I smell bergamot. Oh, I smell lavender, violet leaf. Oh, I smell that amber and that musk. You could smell all of that going on. It's less of a smooth blend, but I don't think that's a problem at all. I actually think it makes this have more projection, more longevity in sillage than Profumo. And so in that regard, for a cheapie, you want something that's got great projection and longevity because you don't have to sit here and do 10 to 15 sprays. I think Profumo, you might need to go north of 8 sprays to really have some lasting power. But anyways, I hope that was helpful. I'm trying to think. Again, 100 ml, $20 or less. I'm sure you could even get it for 15 at times. Bottle, whatever, but this will be a staple in your collection. This will be in the top 5 most used fragrances in your collection without question, because the use case is crazy. The sophistication is there, but it's also got the fresh aspects of the aquatic. If you're in a sunny place, you're rocking this year round without question. Holiday, I mean, gosh, you could literally rock this for many situations. Might be in the top 3 most versatile scents ever made. Yeah, so price 100 mil. You can get it at almost every discounter. You can get it on Amazon right now. It does sell a lot. It's just in terms of people making YouTube videos about it, it's not as prominent as like your Assads and all that stuff. But ageless fragrance. There's no season bias. Use cases, casual to formal. It can go through the whole scale. This is not a circumstantial fragrance. This is just nice. The only reason I wouldn't really rock this is if you're getting out of the shower and you're going to be home all day. Don't waste the juice. Go for something more like clean linen, like your CK Everyone, your CK1, that type vibes. Because even though the price is the same, this is more of an exquisite fragrance with a little more layer to it. So to me, even though it's an 8 out of 10 in terms of closeness to Profumo, it does stand out from Profumo with that 20%, I believe, with more sillage, more projection, more longevity. This isn't a room filler, but it's a scent trail lever. 7 out of 10, 6, 7 out of 10 in terms of beast mode. And I think with this fragrance, you can add north of 6 sprays and you'll be straight. Add 10 plus if you don't want to have to reapply. Add 6 plus if you have a decant or you're just carrying it around and you're going to spruce up later in the day. But great scent bubble trail and sillage. And longevity on this fragrance. It did me very well for most of the day. And yeah, I'm going to keep coming back to this. This is a grab for me that I'm wearing very regularly right now. And it made me appreciate that line because Acqua di Giò might have been, I only owned like 3 or 4 fragrances in high school. And this was one of them. And I never had to question when I grabbed this. Anytime I wanted to smell good, I go grab some Acqua di Giò. And it's rescued me from so many different scenarios. It's not even funny. Get your nose on this. I don't think you need to get a sample of this. This is blind buy worthy. It's accurate enough to the DNA. Where it's not accurate, it doesn't smell fake or synthetic at all. It just has a little bit of a twist, but highly respectable fragrance, cloning an absolute legend in the fragrance space, and you need to have it. So for 20 bucks, it just makes no sense why you don't buy this fragrance right now. So anyway, we're gonna sign off. Thank you for rocking with me in the scent bubble. Again, if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you could turn on your notifications, comment and interact. If you've interacted with my channel before, you know I get busy with everyone, man. We talk fragrance and we get it in, and I share any information that I have to help you guys out. We got a lot more content coming. So y'all have a blessed night. Peace.